A report on Central Intelligence Agency interrogations of terror suspects was released this week by the Obama administration under legal pressure from the American Civil Liberties Union. The information in the report could lead to prosecutions. VOA's Carolyn Presutti has more.
The report is 109 pages long. Nearly half of the pages remain classified and are blacked out. It details CIA interrogations of high-profile, mainly al-Qaeda suspects in the aftermath of the World Trade Center attacks. It lists methods used on a suspected plotter of the 2000 attack on the USS Cole, which killed 17 U.S. sailors. The report says he was threatened with an electric drill while he was wearing a hood.
I'm not denying that.
The report confirms that the self-proclaimed mastermind of the September 11th attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, was waterboarded 183 times. It says interrogators told him his children would be killed if the U.S. came under attack again. Attorney General Eric Holder has appointed a prosecutor to investigate. While supporting his attorney general, President Obama has been reluctant to bring charges against interrogators if they acted within legal guidelines at the time.
We must leave these methods where they belong, in the past. They are not who we are, and they are not America.
Michael Barone of the conservative American Enterprise Institute says the appointment of a prosecutor is wrong because the Justice Department had already investigated and decided not to press charges.
It almost reeks of double jeopardy, of subjecting people twice to possible prosecution, which is against the spirit, if not the letter, of the U.S. Constitution.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney said in a statement Monday that CIA interrogations produced information that thwarted new attacks.
We were able to protect Americans, protect people around the world as a result of the information we got out of these enhanced interrogation techniques. They were effective.
Are you saying they should be used in the future?
Well, I think they should be used in accordance with the need of the President and administration to protect the people of the United States.
In another break from the Bush years, the Obama administration is creating a new unit called the High Value Detainee Interrogation Group, or HIG for short. This special team will question terrorism suspects. The responsibility will be shared between the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the FBI, and the White House.
All the different elements of the intelligence community to get the best intelligence possible based on scientifically proven methods and consistent with the Army field manual.
Whether harsh interrogations were the catalyst that produced valuable information is still unclear. The CIA report says it's difficult to assess that. Carolyn Presutti, VOA News.
And joining us in the studio is VOA's Carolyn Presutti with more on the political and legal fallout of the CIA report. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thanks, Antonia.
Now, obviously, in your piece, you showed President Obama saying whatever contents of the report need to be in the background where they need to be. It's un-American to investigate, etc. And then here we have this report.
We have the report, which we have right in front of us. You're right. It's 109 pages, 234 pages total.
Lot of pages.
When you add everything that needed to be released. But this is the actual report that we were talking about in the story. What happened here was Obama said, let's let sleeping dogs lie, if you will, as the saying goes. He also said, let's keep things in the past. But what happened was the ACLU filed a lawsuit, the American Civil Liberties Union, and they said, we need to get this information out to the public. A federal judge ruled in their favor, so they had to release all this information.
Okay.
So that's actually how this became public.
Now, what are the chances of, as one of your analysts say, that Americans could become more vulnerable now because this report is out and its contents are everywhere?
Right. I mean, as he says, you know, now you have all these methods that are public, and the enemy has our so-called playbook. So they know the techniques that were used by the Americans, and those could be used by our soldiers who are captured, possibly used. And also, it just instills a lot of anger because you can read the individual methods, and that's what he's worried about. That analyst says that.
Now, are the suspects protected by the Geneva Convention?
That's a very good question. It all depends on whom you ask. If you ask the conservatives, they say, no, these aren't prisoners of war. And of course, the Geneva Convention was set up to protect prisoners of war. So what's the definition of a prisoner of war? Well, you have to be part of an armed force. Okay. You have to be backed by some type of government, and you have to wear some sort of uniform insignia. So when you take a look at the Taliban, yes, maybe they do fall underneath that because the Afghanistan government, they fought for them, they were part of the armed force there. But when you look at Al-Qaeda, some people say, no, not really, because they don't dress alike. They don't really have a government behind them. So it depends on if you're talking to conservatives or liberals in that area. And the liberals then go way beyond the definition of prisoner of war, and they say it's a matter of humanitarian needs. They say our interrogation practices reflect on who we are as a nation, our ethics, and our respect for human life.
Now, very, very quickly, Carolyn, and of course this is a question everybody's asking, who is spearheading this? Is it the Attorney General, Eric Holden, or is it President Obama who wants this to happen? Even though, of course, he's on record saying that it shouldn't go ahead.
Again, depends on whom you ask. Obama obviously is saying, I'm leaving this up to my Attorney General. It's in his hands whether or not he wants to prosecute. So Eric Holder named the prosecutor, and he will look into things, but whether or not he comes forward with charges remains to be seen. Now, some say that the Attorney General can do nothing without the approval of the President. So they don't believe that Obama is not behind this. I mean, they say it's up to the president who can fire his attorney general. You know, it reckons back to the Watergate days. So he does have ultimate control.
Stop you there, Carolyn. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be hearing from former Vice President Dick Cheney on this. Well, for more information on these stories, please go to voanews.com.